Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 936 of our daily content grind, and today we gotta talk about repaints again. So, previous videos I mentioned we've been talking a bit about repaints as of late. The one you see here on screen is the 07 Night Watch Optimus Prime, which I mentioned in a previous video, actually in the Q&A. I mentioned that if I go back to figures that I feel nostalgic for, or I want to go back and rebuy, I usually try to go after a good-looking repaint, so that even though it's going to be a very familiar feeling figure, I still get some new enjoyment out of it. And that is true of this. I've had this weird craving for the Night Watch Optimus Prime as of late. So, quick little update. I did get one on eBay that is a very, very nice price considering what they can go for. So I'm happy. I'm going to have this big hunk of plastic in my life again. But it does kind of bring up the question of why don't we really see anything like this anymore? You know, with all the myriad of molds and how many times Hasbro really wants to reuse just about everything they produce a figure for, you would think that repaints like this would hit a particular nostalgic itch for some people, at least enough to where they could do it as, say, a store exclusive, a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, an Amazon exclusive. You know, we've had a ton of new molds for the 07 Optimus Prime, whether it's Studio Series or Masterpiece. You would think at some point someone would go, should we revisit that old repaint that actually looked really, really cool? Well, that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. There used to be a lot of different repaints that we could always kind of count on. We always kind of expected. If one came up, so did the other. So we kind of like thought of them going hand in hand a little bit. So where are they now? It's not that we need more Transformer product than we already have. Don't get me wrong. But perfect stuff for Generation Selects, perfect stuff for store exclusives, and we don't really get it anymore. The fun kind of repaints that we used to get, that's kind of gone down to like the kid level stuff. So like Robots in Disguise 2010 or 2015 was actually really good for this, because every now and then, yeah, the show would do something where the characters were in kind of a desert, you know, like kind of a sandy desert camo look or an Arctic look. So you would get these characters redone in blues and browns. It's kind of a classic thing of toys, especially when you are working with a limited cast of characters. It goes back to around the early 90s. So if you look at like early 90s Batman toys especially, you know, you had, you know, your main character who you wanted to have on store shelves as much as possible. However, you can't just do the same character. He never changes designs in the cartoon, and you know, well, they switch series, same kind of, you know, let's not get kind of into semantics. Generally, the cartoon design never changes. Or they base it on a movie, you're not going to have more than one design in the movie. One time you did, and that was it. And we don't talk about that Batman movie. But the point is, the toy line was always like, well, if we only have one character, we're just going to have to reuse the character, and we'll just do these wild repaints of him and just pack in different accessories. So the exact same Batman toy, you know, would be done normal Batman colors, and he'd have like a utility pack, like a grapple launcher kind of thing, or he'd have a big wing pack, and he'd have like camouflage, gray camo, or he would be Arctic colors with, you know, like a water squirter cannon. Things like that. And that's kind of the vibe you get from repaints like this, as well as things like this. I talked about how much I really liked Deep Desert Brawl as opposed to the other kind of options you had. And to the point where I kind of look at the Studio Series one and go, I would be way more into this look if you actually had the Deep Desert colors instead. You see, the go-to when it comes to any like combat-oriented figures for like a redeco is you switch up the camo, right? Not, you know, usually not jungle camo, because that's the most common, the green kind. No, the ones they always jump to are Arctic camo and desert camo, which admittedly both look cool. Both look good in their own ways. lines like G.I. Joe are really big onto things like that. So it's a pretty common trope. Yeah, like for different settings, for different missions, you know, you've got Arctic camo, desert camo, stealth camo, which is usually your gray camos or just jet black. Those are your common tropes when it comes to like camouflage mission colors on toys. And Transformers used to do that. Last time they did it was, you know, almost a decade ago. So that's kind of where I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind like Earthspark getting into that, because I think it leads to some really fun and interesting decos you don't normally get the chance to see. So we talk about Arctic camo, we talk about desert camo, and then we talk about purple camo. We used to get purple and black Megatrons. You know, it was admittedly kind of rare, but it goes all the way back to Generation 2 and the Hero Megatron colors, which, let's be honest, they kind of look better than the traditional G2 colors we know. I'm sorry, green and purple camo, I don't know where you're blending in. It's some kind of toxic waste spill that you're trying to camouflage yourself in. And I don't think that comes up too often when you're a tank. Just funny feeling. I don't think that happens too often. I don't know where the purple camo's hiding either, but I would say it looks better. I would say it looks more menacing. It certainly does once he's in robot mode. So every now and then we would get a black and purple Megatron. You know, Generations did it not as a repaint, but as a brand new mold with, you know, the stealth bomber Megatron. You know, ironically, that one started off in black and purple, and he looked really good. As it turns out, Megatron just happens to look really, really good in the signature Decepticon colors. We learned that in animated with Shadowblade Megatron. This one's ridiculous because the entire toy, sans clear parts, is all molded in black and everything else is done in paint. And it's this gorgeous shade of metallic purple. You can even see in the picture just a little bit of pearlescence to it too. It looks super good. It looks fantastic. It's a great menacing look for Megatron. And if your show is not going to use Skywarp in any way, shape, and form, I don't see why you don't get away with this. I don't see why you can't do him up like this a little bit more often, because it is a really, really cool look. Then again, it's purple and black. Just about anything you throw purple and black on is going to look really, really well, and most likely sell very well to collectors. Hasbro, I will not let you live this down. You've got a brand new one out there. Just make it in these colors already. Are you ready for months of me randomly bringing up this Legend Skywarp toy in hopes that Hasbro notices that people are starting to ask for one? He's not the only one who looks good in black, though. Black is just like the go-to repaint, and it was for years, mostly thanks to eHobby in Japan. They loved their black repaints. We got a lot of figures in black because of them. One in particular always stood out to me, and it's kind of interesting because we kind of still have it, but we kind of don't. That's the Dark Hot Rod. Now, this is not Shattered Glass. This is not Unicronus. It's the original inspiration for that. Now, what eHobby did was, let's be honest, they took a very lazy way out. They monochromed the entire toy except for the eyes that are painted red now, and then they just left the stickers as is. So admittedly, lazy work done on this particular version. However, I think there's some actual merit to it, because the black does make all of those colorful details pop a lot stronger, in particular like that metallic flame job. We've seen this again in Cyberverse, and it looked really, really good. You know, it's not the, you know, it's not the teal and purple and black hot rod that we know for Unicronus. If you know the IDW, it's like his, like, you know, what was it? It's like his Oath of Vengeance paint scheme, whatever the explanation was. There's reasons for why we've had black hot rods in the past, but all the modern ones, you know, they all lean into the Nemesis color schemes a little bit too much. And I feel like there's something a little bit more unique and a little bit different that you can get out of this original take on it. And I wish we got this more often. I just wish this was the base so we can just kind of take Unicronus, Shattered Glass Hot Rod, whatever iteration of evil Rodimus it is, and we can just give him something a little bit more to stand out. That's all I'm asking for. This kind of deco that I'm talking about has been done on previous Transformers to great effect, and it's made them look exceedingly evil, even when they're not intended to be. Hello, Murder Bee. How you doing? I don't know how this toy exists, but at some point Hasbro decided to just make Dark of the Moon Bumblebee look like a Terminator. The deep red eyes, the blazing paint job, you know, the preference to black in the color scheme, it's frightening. It's about as frightening as any Bumblebee has ever been. And I want it. I want it again. Okay, you cannot tell me you have so many options for movie Bumblebees to do this with again. Now, I don't think it'd work on the Volkswagen. I don't think flames on a Volkswagen are going to be that effective of a look. There's only so much you can do with a car that looks like a computer mouse. So I don't think you're going to make it that extreme. You know, you're not going to make that extreme. But the rest of them, the Camaros, absolutely. Absolutely make the Camaros look like this. Make the World War II Bumblebee look like this. You know how frightening it is when an armored truck with a black and yellow flame job starts rolling up on you. Just as a fun throwback, because a lot of the fandom are kind of nostalgic. If a lot of the fandom knows this color scheme and they love this color scheme, I'd love to see it again. They've tried to replicate it. Prime tried to replicate it, and I don't think they quite got the job done. It's that baby blue. It's that baby blue that throws this off. You actually had a chance to come up with a super serious and intimidating looking Bumblebee, and you threw it away because of that baby blue for the missiles. So close. So close. Oh, well. That doesn't mean the black and gold doesn't work, though. We saw this with the Elite Guard Bumblebee, and here's another Bumblebee that I would love to see done again. It's a serious take on Bumblebee, because while you can grow up his physical form and give him a more traditional Transformers body, take him away from the Volkswagen look, you still have the ability to make him look more mature deco-wise as well, because he's still, you know, the Bumblebee, you know, still a friendly yellow car. But there are options here. I think the Elite Guard did a great job of actually making Bumblebee look like a more serious character, even without any new tooling, and it just looks good. Again, we're dealing with black and gold. It's going to look good, you know? It's just easy to make that color scheme work. Yeah, I'd love to see more Bumblebees like this. And again, you are not at a lack of options. But as I said, black and gold just generally works no matter what. No matter what. Oh, we've got, we got the Optimus Prime with Shredicus Maximus. And again, I mean, this was one of those designer ones. The Primitive Skateboard Company came up with the deco. Do you need to redo this deco? Just black Optimus Prime with gold trim, you know, kind of like a throwback to like what Nucleon Quest, like throwback to kind of like in that era, would look great. I'd be down for it. I know a lot of people who would be down for this. Yeah, and again, no lack of Optimus Primes to do it. Then again, black and gold has always looked good on an Optimus Prime. There's a movie Optimus Prime that's done in black and gold. It looks stellar. It looks absolutely amazing. I got to see it in person, and I just go like, yeah, it's the one version of that mold I'd still want. Yeah, black and gold primes work. Black and gold primes just work. Now, that does kind of encroach onto territory that is very well treaded, which is the Black Optimus Prime, which now we kind of know as Nemesis Prime. However, even that has kind of been tainted over the years, and I want the original Nemesis back. And by that, I mean I want the beige. So, once upon a time, you could tell a Nemesis apart from a Scourge. They kind of coexist for a brief window in the early 2000s. Scourge and Nemesis coexisted across different lines and exclusives based on one of them having this tan color, this like old bone color that was added to the figure instead of more gray. And I think that sets it apart so well. I would be down for this. Like that, like if you're going to make it a Nemesis, add in that gray. If you're going to make it a, add in that beige. If you're going to make it a Scourge, make sure it stays silver and gray and, and all that. I like the separation. And I actually think this adds a little bit more character to, an otherwise, kind of flat color scheme. Speaking of easy Optimus Prime repaints, the one that we used to get, we used to guarantee that if a Prime mold came out, it was going to be this, and then we just kind of gave up on it. I miss the white Magnus. I miss getting white Ultra Magnus as an option. This is such a good look, and Classics being able to play with the color scheme a lot more, I think really did a good job making the white and the blue look really, really good. I would be very happy to get another white Optimus Prime. But these days, of course, if you do a white Magnus, you're expected to make armor with it, etc., etc. Or they just skip the inner car, it's the inner truck, and just go straight to the super mode, which for my Ultra Magnus, I do tend to prefer. But a standalone white Magnus every now and then, I kind of want. And as long as we're talking blue repaints, where's my Grimlock? You think of how many Grimlock toys have come out over the years, So what? Like Fall of Cybertron, Classics, you've got Cyberverse, you've got the new Evolutions core class, you've got the leader class for Studio Series. None of them so far have been redone in Grimlock's original blue. And he looks good in the blue. And I really feel like there is something cool about the Dinobots being these unified color schemes, but I also feel like you're missing something in like letting them stand out with their own color schemes as well. There's that sick part of me that thinks if they do a red Snarl, I would buy it in an instant, because I do have kind of like a little bit of childhood thing with that toy. If they did the swoop in the green, I'd buy it in an instant. Do my my favorite Dinobot in my favorite color? Absolutely. Okay, maybe not the leaders. Maybe not those. Maybe the cores. Multi-pack it. Give it to me. Here's another repaint that we used to get pretty commonly, and then like for a while it was just flavor of the day. If the mold came out, it was being done in these colors, and we just had a hard cut for a long time. Where's Sunstorm? What happened to Sunstorm? Because original Sunstorm is good, like the white as opposed to like the dark colors that are usually on a Seeker work. The orange works, it looks like a red hot character, so to speak. It looks like a very hot character this way. I don't know what it is, but they don't manage to get Sunstorm right ever again. Sunstorms start becoming bright yellow, or they start trying to blend the bright yellow version and the bright orange version. That's the titanium, which looks okay, but it's still not really correct. And then we just got weird, like Masterpiece. The Masterpiece doesn't look anything like the original E-Hobby. It doesn't look anything like it. Especially if you're looking at the Hasbro version, who has that Ronald McDonald color scheme going. It looks terrible. I'm just asking, like, where is my good Sunstorm? Because, like, Nova Storm kind of ate his lunch. The Seeker set came out, the Rainmakers, and that became, like, the yellow Seeker. And apparently, like, Sunstorm's off the menu now. I want him back. I want my Creamsicle back. And as long as I'm complaining about yellow repaints, let's mention, the yellow RID Optimus. It's not going to be the HasLab. It's not going to be the HasLab. But I feel since the fandom's kind of latched on to the splendid yellow convoy, that you absolutely do have a group who would be down for a female Optimus Prime. Just not even like, not even like from this particular mold. Like, you could get away with it from others. I would be willing to bet with a new head sculpt that kind of went to like a throwback to this, kind of like, and kind of homage the original RID head. You could probably get away with it like with the animated mold. Because let's be honest, like animated, I'm looking at him right over here. Animated Optimus, like he's kind of got that figure that would work. And he is technically a fire truck. He is technically a fire truck. Yeah, I would like to see it, just because the prominence has gone up so much with this version of like an Optimus Prime repaint. I feel like there's an opportunity. I feel like there's room for it. There's one last yellow character I have to bring up because this is a complete injustice. And I've mentioned this before. Gonna mention it again. Where's Buzzsaw? How many Laserbeak toys have we gotten over the years? Like, even characters designed to be like Laserbeak, you know, like the Real Gear from 07. Or Laserbeak as, you know, like an accessory piece, like with the Cyberverse Soundwave and like that chest bursting Laserbeak gimmick. It's always Laserbeak, even though the one you got when you, the cassette you got with your Soundwave, when you bought the original Soundwave, was Buzzsaw. Laserbeak is technically the repaint, and that is probably, like, I did a video recently about repaints that kind of usurped their originals. Well, names that usurped their originals. Buzzsaw is an example of an original who was usurped by his repaint. Because everything is about Laserbeak. Buzzsaw has not gotten a toy in over a decade. The one you're looking at right now is the first mold since G1 to be done as Buzzsaw first. And then nothing. You know, the Siege version, the Earthrise version of that Laserbeak mold has never been done in yellow, and they're still producing that Soundwave, and they still have not produced Laserbeak in yellow. Still no Buzzsaw. The last Buzzsaw toy was with the was one of the last reissues of Soundwave, and I feel like that's a cheat. And I feel like that cheats. Where is my, like, modern mold Buzzsaw? It's weird. It's really weird. I don't know, justice for Buzzsaw. That's what I'm saying. So this is just me kind of rambling through a lot of the different repaints that used to be go-tos and used to be very familiar in our fandom. And we just don't get it anymore, and I kind of wish Hasbro would go back to it. Whether it's an alteration of an existing character, just to kind of give them a fun change-up to their deco, or if it's a character that has been sorely missing for way too long. Either situation, all it takes is a swapped color of plastic or a few changes to the paint guns at the factory, and we could have them back, and yet we don't. So there's my list. You are free to discuss or mention any that I forgot in the comments below. There's tons of these. Of course there are. And as always, I will see you next time.